selecting a mode to play, either immersive mode or challenge mode. Immersive mode is a simulator. As soon as it begins, the player begins to fall. The two controllers represent the player's hands. On the left hand is an altimeter that displays the player's height, and on the right hand is a display of the player's current score. As the player falls, he can control movement by altering the position of the headset or the controllers. By tilting the headset forward, the player moves forward. By lifting up their head and tilting the headset backwards, the player begins to move backwards. In this case, it takes a little bit of time to overcome the forward force and begin to move back. In order to move left and right, the player changes the positions of the hand controllers. The player will move in the direction of the hand that is lower than the other. For example, here the player is moving right. Here the player is moving left. Just like the forward-back case, it takes a little bit of time to overcome the current speed in the right direction before the player begins to move left. At any time, the player can choose to deploy the parachute by pressing either trigger button on the controller. We're going to wait for Alvin to get a little lower here before he decides to deploy the parachute. When the parachute is deployed, the player falls at a constant speed and moves at a constant speed forward in the direction he's facing. The player can change the direction he's moving by pulling on the parachute forward. This is done by pressing the trigger on the controller near one of those triangular indicators and moving the controller while pressing the trigger. The parachute will then rotate in the direction of the cord that is pulled lower. As you just saw, in the landscape there's a landing pad marked by a white circle. This is a simple area indicator telling the player where, if the player wants to use as a goal, where he wants to land. Once the player hits the ground, the game checks to make sure that the player is not moving too quickly. If the player is moving too quickly, the player will die, and we'll show this off later. If not, the player will stop moving and the score is displayed. In immersive mode, the player's score is pretty unimportant and determined solely by distance between the player's landing point and the landing pad. After a set amount of time, the player will be brought back into the helicopter for another round of play. In the challenge mode, all the features of immersive mode also apply, with some added bonuses. Firstly, there are flying collectibles that are available for the player to collect. These are shown as the crates on parachutes. Upon colliding with a collectible, it disappears and the player is granted 1,000 points. This incentivizes the player to try and run into one of them. Ones that are close to the player are highlighted in orange. So as you see right there, Alvin just managed to successfully collect a collectible, and his points should be at 1,000, or his points should have gone up by 1,000. Boom, he gets another. So the things that Alvin are trying to avoid right now are projectiles that are being fired by turrets. The turrets begin firing as soon as the player begins falling, and the turrets will stop firing once the player reaches a certain height. If Alvin gets hit by one of these projectiles, he'll spin out and the death screen will be shown. The turrets fire projectiles in groups of 2, and they fire at random intervals as well. So now we're just going to wait for Alvin to either get hit or fall to the ground. Once the player lands, the score is displayed, and in this case, Alvin purposely didn't